Okay, so we're doing a deep dive today on this alchemy of self concept. And
Whoa.
you've given me a workbook, affirmations, a whole profile on this guy named Sam Ovens, like a blueprint for a life overhaul. And I'm hooked.
Yeah, it's a really interesting mix of material. Seems like you're ready to get your hands dirty with some self-transformation.
Yeah.
The workbook itself is interesting. It feels very much like a piece of a larger puzzle.
Yeah, it's a teaser. It's a teaser of something bigger. So before we get ahead of ourselves, let's break down what we do have. This workbook, it kicks off with a pretty bold statement. Change your beliefs, change your reality. It's like we're all alchemists. But instead of turning lead into gold, we're transforming our thoughts into our experiences.
Yeah, and that idea that our beliefs shape our reality, that's not just some new age mumbo jumbo. It actually has roots in some pretty solid psychology.
Hmm.
You've probably heard of the self-fulfilling prophecy. Basically, if you believe something strongly enough,
Yeah.
you're more likely to act in ways that make it come true.
So if you keep telling yourself, I'm going to fail this test, you might actually sabotage yourself, even if you're capable of passing.
Exactly. Our beliefs, even the subconscious ones, they can have a powerful impact on our actions and ultimately our outcomes. So this workbook is saying, hey, let's get intentional about those beliefs. Let's rewrite the script,
And they give you a very specific daily ritual to do just that.
right?
Walk me through it. What does it actually involve?
What starts with visualization,
Yeah.
not just daydreaming, but really getting vivid and detailed with what you want to achieve, seeing it, feeling it, almost like it's already happened. Athletes use this all the time to improve performance, but it can apply to any goal, really.
Okay, so you're priming your brain for success, essentially. What's next?
Affirmations.
Yeah.
And the workbook is packed with them, especially when we get to the Sam Ovens section. But even in this general daily ritual, it's all about crafting these positive statements that reinforce the beliefs you want to have.
So instead of I'm always late, it's I'm punctual and value other people's time.
Got it.
What else?
Then it gets into this really structured tracking system. You're supposed to monitor everything: what time you woke up, if you exercised,
Mm.
how focused you were during the day. It's almost like a self-audit to hold yourself accountable.
Whoa, that's intense. It's like having a personal trainer for your mindset. Do you think that level of rigidity is really necessary?
Well, it depends on the person, right? Some people thrive on structure, others find it stifling. But the underlying principle is self-awareness. The more you track your actions and patterns, the more you understand your own behavior and where you might need to adjust.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've got visualization, affirmations, self-tracking. What's the final piece of this daily ritual?
The workbook calls it massive action. And they're not kidding around with that word massive. It's about going beyond just thinking and planning. It's about putting in the work, making bold moves, and pushing yourself outside your comfort zone.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit more. What would massive action actually look like in real life?
Well, it depends entirely on your goals. If you're dreaming of starting a business, massive action might mean finally launching that website or pitching your idea to investors. If you want to improve your fitness, it might mean signing up for that marathon you've always talked about or hiring a personal trainer. It's about taking those scary, exciting leaps forward.
So it's not just about tweaking your thoughts, it's about changing your behavior too. Almost like the thoughts are the fuel, but the actions are what actually propel you forward.
Exactly. It's the bridge between the internal and external world. And this brings us to a very interesting element in the materials you provided, the story of Sam Ovens.
Ah, yes. The workbook goes deep on this guy. He's presented as this almost mythical figure, the ultimate example of alchemy of self in action. So who is this Sam Ovens, and why is he so important to this whole concept?
Well, from what we gather from the workbook, he's a wildly successful entrepreneur who built a massive consulting business from scratch. Now he's on a mission to revolutionize education and employment. Pretty ambitious stuff.
Yeah, and the workbook seems to suggest that he achieved all this through the power of alchemy of self. Like he's the living proof that these principles work right.
That's the implication, yes. And it's interesting how they've chosen him as the poster child. He's not just some guru preaching from a mountaintop. He's a real person who's walked the walk, achieved incredible success,
Hmm.
and seems to embody this idea of transforming your beliefs into reality.
Okay, so he's the role model, the inspiration. But the workbook doesn't just tell his story, does it? It gives us a whole breakdown of his Sam Ovens identity, right?
Yes, it gets very specific, almost like a blueprint for how to think and behave like Sam Ovens. And this is where things get really fascinating and maybe a little controversial.
Yeah.
Yeah, it lays out his daily routine, habits, his goals, even his personality traits. He wakes up at 4 a.m., works until 7 p.m., follows a strict diet,
Yeah.
and aims for a black belt in jiu-jitsu.
Talk about disciplined.
Okay, that's intense. It's like they're saying, if you want to be successful, you need to become a Sam Ovens clone. Do you think that's realistic?
Mhm.
Or even desirable for most people? That's the big question, isn't it? On one hand, it's inspiring to see someone achieve that level of success. But on the other hand, it can feel a little overwhelming, like, well, I could never do that. And maybe that's the point, to push you to think bigger, to see what's possible when you really commit to this alchemy of self idea.
But isn't there a danger in presenting such an extreme example? I mean, what if someone tries to force themselves into this mold and ends up feeling like a failure because they can't keep up with Sam Ovens' superhuman routine?
That's a valid concern. And it's important to remember that this workbook, even with all its details about Sam Ovens, is still just a framework. It's not a one-size-fits-all prescription. You have to take what resonates with you
Hmm.
and adapt it to your own life and goals.
So it's more about the principles than the specifics, right? Like maybe waking up at 4 a.m. works for Sam Ovens, but for me, that would be a recipe for disaster.
Exactly. It's about understanding the underlying concepts: self-awareness, discipline, taking action, and then figuring out how to apply them in a way that works for you.
Okay, that makes me feel a little better. Because honestly, when I first saw this Sam Ovens identity section, I thought, well, I'm doomed. But maybe it's not about becoming Sam Ovens 2.0. It's about finding your own version of success, right?
Precisely. And that's where the alchemy of self idea becomes really empowering. It's not about conforming to someone else's ideal. It's
Hmm.
about shaping your own reality based on your own values and aspirations.
All right, so we've talked about beliefs shaping reality, this intense daily ritual, and the Sam Ovens phenomenon. But there's one more piece of the puzzle I want to explore: the power of affirmations.
Ah, yes. The workbook is practically overflowing with them, especially in the sections about Sam Ovens. And they're not your typical I am happy and loved affirmations either. They're bold, assertive, and very focused on success and abundance.
Hmm. Give me an example. What are some of the ones that really stood out to you?
Well, there's I am unstoppable. Success comes to me easily and naturally. I am effortlessly attracting unlimited financial prosperity and abundance. These are pretty strong statements.
Wow, those are powerful. But do you really think just repeating these phrases can actually change your life? I mean, isn't that a little too good to be true?
Well, the idea behind affirmations is that by repeatedly exposing your mind to these positive statements, you're essentially reprogramming your subconscious beliefs. It's like planting seeds in your mind that can eventually grow into new habits and behaviors.
So it's not like magic, but more like a gradual shift in your thinking over time.
Exactly. And it's not just about thinking it, it's about feeling it, believing it on a deeper level. It's about shifting your internal dialogue from one of doubt and limitation to one of confidence and possibility.
Okay, I can see how that could be powerful if you really commit to it, but I have to admit, I've tried affirmations before, and I always felt a little silly saying these grand statements out loud, like, who am I to claim unlimited financial prosperity?
I think a lot of people feel that way at first. It can feel awkward or even inauthentic to declare these things, especially if you're not seeing evidence of them in your life yet.
So how do you get past that? How do you make affirmations feel more, I don't know, believable?
I think it's about finding affirmations that resonate with you personally, that feel aligned with your values and aspirations. And it's about starting small, building up your belief gradually. You don't have to jump straight to, I am a millionaire. Maybe you start with, I am capable of earning more money, or I am open to new opportunities.
So it's more about the journey than the destination, right? It's about using affirmations as a tool to shift your mindset
Yeah.
and open yourself up to new possibilities.
Exactly. And that's where the connection to Sam Ovens becomes really interesting. The workbook is full of his affirmations, almost like they're presenting them as the secret sauce to his success.
It's like they're saying these are the beliefs that made Sam Ovens a millionaire, so they must be gold, right? Mm-hmm. But also makes you wonder, if it were that simple, wouldn't everyone be rich and successful?
It certainly raises some interesting questions. And it brings us back to this idea of personal responsibility. The workbook seems to be saying, yes, beliefs are powerful, but you have to do the work. You can't just repeat a few affirmations and expect your life to magically transform. You have to take action, make choices, and build the reality you want step by step.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Beliefs, rituals, affirmations, and the Sam Ovens enigma. But this workbook feels incomplete, like it's only giving us a glimpse into this whole alchemy of self philosophy.
That's a great observation. It's like we've been given a taste of something really intriguing, but we're left wanting more. What do you think is the bigger picture here?
Well, it makes me wonder if this workbook is just the tip of the iceberg. Is there a whole program, a community, a movement built around this alchemy of self concept?
That's a fascinating question, and it makes you think, is this just Sam Oven's personal system for success?
No.
Or is there a larger methodology at play here?
And if so, is Sam Ovens essential to the process? Could someone achieve similar results by applying these principles on their own, even without his direct guidance?
That's a great question for you to consider, because ultimately this whole alchemy of self idea comes down to personal empowerment, doesn't it?
It's about taking ownership of your beliefs, your actions, and ultimately your reality.
Exactly. And that's a journey you have to embark on for yourself.
So for you listening right now, this alchemy of self thing, is it something you can actually use?
I mean, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's not
Yeah.
one I can answer for you, but what I can say is this deep dive has really highlighted the power of our beliefs.
Yeah, it's almost like we've been looking at this self-help stuff all wrong. It's not about finding the perfect program or guru. It's about recognizing that we have the power to shape our own reality, right?
Exactly. This workbook, with its emphasis on visualization, affirmations, and taking action, it's essentially a toolkit for rewiring your mindset. It's saying, hey, you're not stuck with the beliefs you have. You can choose to believe something different, and that can change everything.
But it's not just about thinking happy thoughts, is it? It's about backing up those beliefs with concrete actions.
Absolutely. The massive action piece is crucial. It's the bridge between thought and reality. You can visualize your dream life all day long, but if you don't take steps to make it happen, nothing will change.
So it's a two-pronged approach, inner transformation and outer action.
Precisely. And that's where I think this workbook, even in its incomplete form, offers some valuable insights. It gives you a framework for both changing your beliefs and putting those beliefs into practice.
Yeah, it's almost like a recipe, but
Mhm.
with some key ingredients missing. But maybe that's intentional, right? Maybe it's designed to make you think for yourself, to fill in the blanks based on your own unique goals and circumstances.
That's a really insightful way to look at it. It's not about blindly following a formula. It's about taking the core principles and adapting them to your own life.
So maybe the real alchemy of self isn't about becoming Sam Ovens, or anyone else for that matter. Maybe it's about discovering your own potential, your own unique path to transformation.
And that's an exciting journey to embark on, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's like we've been handed this treasure map, but the real treasure is the self-discovery we experience along the way.
Mm. The workbook might be incomplete, but your journey is just beginning. And who knows what you might create when you combine the power of belief with the courage to take action.
That's a great thought to leave us with. So if this alchemy of self concept has sparked something in you, maybe the challenge is to take what we've discussed today and see where it leads you. Experiment, explore, and most importantly, believe in your own ability to create the life you want.